Okay, hey there, everybody. Andrew King here. I'm the editor of Canadian Musician, and thank you for joining us for our latest free webinar from NWC Webinars and Canadian Musician. In a moment, I'll be introducing our presenter for the evening, Luther Mallory, and we are helping you own the stage, deliver a fearless, impactful performance every time you take the stage. We want you to be leaving a great impression. We want you to be opening up new doors and creating new opportunities and ultimately just being your absolute best. So really looking forward to tonight. Just a few housekeeping notes before we get started. First off, while I'm talking actually, I'm going to launch a quick poll here just to survey our attendees, find out how everyone, in which capacity you're involved in our music industry. This will help steer tonight's discussion to an extent, but also just inform where we go with future sessions. So please take a moment, let us know where you're coming from. And yeah, as that happens, I should also put your attention to the free handouts that we've got. In addition to a broken down kind of notepad style printout of tonight's slideshow, which if you'd like, if you're a note taker like me, feel free to print that off, jot some things down in the margins while Luther and I are chatting. There are also a couple of features there that kind of just expand on a few of the things Luther and I will be chatting about. So not directly related, but just some supplementary material that, again, will help you deliver a great performance. And yeah, those are there for free for those that join the live session here, which we always appreciate. Anyone with questions, you'll notice on your interface that there's a text field there. You can you can submit those at any point while the session's going on, and I'll be fielding those. About halfway through, we're going to pause, open up questions for a short 5-10 minutes. We'll focus there on anything that's pertinent or timely to something that Luther said. If we don't get to your question, then don't fret, because we'll have a longer Q&A at the end where we can just be a bit more loose and yeah, anything you want to fire at us, we should be able to handle. We've got about 90% of people voted here. I'll keep that open for another 30 seconds and share the results with you. And last thing to note is at the very end of the session, there will be an email going out with a survey. We appreciate if you'd offer your feedback about just what you thought about the seminar. Again, will help us steer the direction for future ones. And about 24 hours after this, you'll get an email with the link to the recording if you would like to go back and revisit it or share it with your friends, whatever you think. So here, let's wrap up the poll. Oh, great. Probably the biggest skew of, or wait, I want to share this with you. So we've got, yeah, 3/4 performing recording artists, which I suppose makes a lot of sense considering the subject matter, thanks to the few behind the scenes folks that joined us. And the behind the scenes songwriters too. I guess this is something good to know for when you want to step out into the spotlight. Thanks for taking the time. And here, let's jump right into this. Give me a moment to get fired up. There we are. On the stage, tips for delivering a fearless, impactful performance. Luther Mallory, live music producer, stage psychologist. Yeah, he's been doing this for a few years. He's also, well, he's a lot of things. Longtime contributor to Canadian Musician Magazine, talented performer, recording artist in his own right. Lately, he's been delivering talks and doing workshops with the likes of the JUNO Masterclass, Canada's Music Incubator at Coalition Music. Actually just came back from a session there. Worked with everyone from major label artists through to up and coming, and I guess now better off for it, young artists as well. So LutherMalloryProductions.com is the home base. We encourage you to go check that out. And a couple things to note, while you're there, sign up for Luther's newsletter. I am not lying. I'm not buttering anybody's bread. It's probably one of the handful of newsletters I get on the regular that I make sure to read every single time. And especially if you're a performer or at all involved in the industry, you're going to get something from this. He tackles timely subjects. After Grammy or JUNO Awards performances, you might get something really interesting. So, encourage you to sign up. And a second, he also does, in addition to consulting for some big names, big labels, big initiatives, he does individual coaching for artists and bands. So, if you like what you hear here, LutherMalloryProductions.com. And again, I'm Andrew King, Canadian musician. Yeah, we host these once a month. Appreciate you joining us. Let's jump into it. Before I hand it over to Luther, so this was a quote from Luther's site that kind of informed us putting together this session, and it just really kind of rings, I don't know, it's been rattling around in my mind ever since I read it. An audience wants to see someone cooler than them doing something cooler than they're capable of doing. The more that I think about it, like if you kind of widen your definition of what's cool, and sometimes cool can mean smart, sometimes it can mean savvy, scary, serious, but all these different things that draw us towards someone on stage and that earn our attention. That's what we're trying to do here, is basically get you primed so that anyone watching kind of has to pay attention to what you're doing. And there are steps that we can take to get you there. A lot of this is stuff that honestly a lot of performers don't even think about doing. So what we're going to do is in the first half kind of dissect some of the different issues that are keeping artists from basically owning the stage and giving a 100% flawless, engaging, impactful performance every time. In the second half, we're going to talk about some ways, some things you can put into action right away to help get you there. We're talking to solo singer-songwriters, weekend warriors, touring bands. You're going to get something out of this. So let's roll. Thank you for your patience. Luther, first off, great having you.
Thank you, Andrew. Thanks for the great intro. What's funny is the quest for cool is completely the barrier. That's exactly the problem that everybody's having, including myself. And I say that because it was funny. You did the poll, 76% artists, 4% managers or whatever, 4% industry people. And I immediately shrunk into it being 10 years ago and me looking for a label deal or something and going like, oh God, who are the managers? Who are the industry people that are here? How are they judging me? How can I pass them my demo?
Yeah, we're starting off here with why it's hard to make an impact. And again, feel free to fire over questions whenever you can. And this isn't to say, that everyone doesn't have a good show or some standout moments. But again, we're trying to make you basically run at 100% efficiency, 100% performance at all times. And more importantly, just be mindful of the impression that you're having on your audience, whoever that might be. So here, let's get started. Why is it so hard? First off, because you don't get tangible results. What exactly do you mean by that?
Here's why. So, okay, the talk is called, I'll make this brief too so we can do questions, we can get to the actionable stuff, but I think it's a critical talk and point to make as far as the foundation of stage psychology is why it's hard. I like to call the talk why it's hard, or why artists don't know when they're losing. And it sort of goes like this. So jump in to clarify anything, Andrew. It's if I was a boxer and I'm in the ring and I'm circling my opponent, and all of a sudden I let the crowd noise get in my head, or I lose my focus for a second, or my footing, or I just get distracted in any way, then what happens to me? Everybody knows what happens, right? I get knocked out. So I get knocked out, and something really beautiful and magical and mathematical happens, and that is a completely tangible result. Nobody in the audience doesn't get what just happened. I am now in a pool of my own sweat and blood in the middle of the canvas, and the other dude is being carried out of the arena in victory, and everyone in the audience knows, I see what happened there. You lost and you won. It's mathematical. So in art, or in performance particularly, what we're doing, stage performance, there's no such tangible result, because we're after emotions. We're moving emotions. We're not moving vehicles. We're not moving watches. There is no tangibility to what we do. So we get off stage and we go, how was that show? You go to your bandmates, you go, how was the show? And you go, I don't know. Are we more famous now? Are we less famous? Are we more successful? Are we richer? You go, I have no idea. And what that breeds, that lack of a tangible result, it breeds complacency. Because if somebody came out on stage halfway through the set because I got sloppy singing and I got sloppy on my focus, or I lost my pitch or something, and somebody kicked me in the chest, I would improve immediately or I would quit appropriately. So what happens, because there's no tangible result and no certainty, is complacency. Complacency kicks in, and what complacency looks like, and I'm sure everybody in the group will agree, what complacency looks like is 50 of the same show in a row where the artist or the band is getting off stage going, how was that? I have no idea. Was that better? I don't know. And if we went to, if we went to the Seahorse in Halifax, or we went to the Horseshoe tonight, all together as a group, and we watched 4 artists that are gonna play tonight, we would be underwhelmed 4 times probably. Now, that's not me being a dick. That's totally true, because we're all fans of music and we all go to shows, and it's not that often you see something that grabs you. Am I right about that, Andrew?
Oh, no question. And I guess that's tough for me to say because a lot of our readers are the folks that are on stage. But no, absolutely. And a lot of that is, too, just inexperience. It might not necessarily be that it's bad music or a bad performance, but, nowadays, as they say, there's more music available and being consumed than ever before. So it takes someone really aware, really knowledgeable, and most importantly, I think, really practiced to drop a jaw, especially for those of us that are musicians and are or in the industry that are taking in a lot more shows than, say, your typical member of the public.
Right, right. And you just said it. You said it's not necessarily that they're bad or they're unskilled or something. That's exactly what it is. It's not. If we went to the Horseshoe Tavern all tonight in Toronto and we went to see 4 bands, they wouldn't be necessarily bad at their instruments or bad vocalists or bad songwriters. It wouldn't be about that. It would be we would be underwhelmed probably because they're not giving us any of their energy. They're complacent. They're probably on show number 60 or 70 in a row where they're guessing, coming off stage going, how's that going? And because they have no objective, no data, no tangible result, no idea what they're really after, uh, they just keep doing the same thing over and over. And they go, why isn't it getting better? Why isn't it getting better? Why isn't it getting better? And then 70 shows in, or in my first band, 300 shows in, you start to go, okay, well, what are we going to do? There's no motivation left. There's no momentum left, because we don't know how to scale this thing, not realizing it's about energy, and you end up in the small club graveyard like 99.9% of artists do, not because of anything necessarily, but this intensely critical, important point that is energy wins over everything else. If you can hit me with your crazy fucking energy, then I will be on board to watch you do anything. And as fans of music, we all know that's true. If you go to a show, especially in a small club, you can't hear the sound, you can't hear the vocals, you can't hear whatever. If somebody blasts you with energy, you're on board.
Yeah. I've got a question for you, Luther, regarding complacency and small club graveyard. Is there a difference? Like, do you find it's easier or more difficult to dig your way out of that the longer that you've been there? And what I mean is, like, I'd imagine some of our attendees have been performing for years and years and years,
Yeah.
and maybe frustrated with kind of hitting that perceived glass ceiling, versus maybe an artist that's just starting to get some shows under their belt, and maybe they're at the stage where they've had 3 or 4 quote unquote identical performances. Like,
Yeah.
one in a tougher spot than the other to turn things around.
Yeah, it's like age. It's like I'm 35 now. I just started a new band, and the weight on your mind about, can I do it? Am I too late? Am I blah blah blah? Judging myself, criticizing myself is multiplied by a billion with every like week that goes by. And I know a lot of the artists that are watching right now feel that. You get up to like 25 and you get up to 30, whatever, and you're going like, it's exponentially harder to get out of the mindset that, oh, okay, it's over. So you're at show 60. I can tell you in my experience with Crush Luther, um, it gets exponentially harder to dig yourself out because what happens, the metaphor is, what happens is as you play more and more shows with no validation towards the success you're dreaming about, your momentum tank starts to empty. The momentum tank starts to empty. You're going, how's it working? I don't know. Momentum down, 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 down. And when the momentum tank is empty, the motivation tank starts to go. And then when the motivation tank is empty, there is nothing left except for quitting. And that's the life cycle of most small club bands. They go, why isn't it working? Let's play 300 shows and then quit. That's what we'll do. And the answer is stop thinking that you can be comfortable on stage and start puking all over the monitors, whatever it is, cry on somebody, whatever it is that is so insanely energetic and energized that the audience goes, whatever that is, I got to see that again. It's just about energy.
I think I should have mentioned this at the outset, but in case it's not clear, like obviously there are some performers, say, if you're going to be on the piano in a dimly lit lounge, or you're happy singing some acoustic covers at your local pub for the same amount of money, like not everybody, we realize, needs to constantly be worrying about getting to the next step. Not everyone is doing this for a career. That said, stick with us though, because there's still a lot of tips here that even in those scenarios will help you deliver a more enjoyable performance, and that's going to be more enjoyable and rewarding for everyone involved, the people listening, the people hiring you, and you as well. But back to it, like for those that are looking to climb the ladder and looking to make a career in music, it's getting exponentially harder. So yeah, we are here for you too. Let's keep rolling here. So
yeah. I think for both of those too, and you're saying some people on the group aren't necessarily after a career, right? Is that what you're saying?
Well, just that if that's not what you're striving for, that's okay. But there's still some things here that are going to be beneficial for you.
I think so too. And yeah, for those of us not after a career, I think it is. I think it's just as much about music as it is about life. Energy and taking risks will get you every type of success, not just performance success, right? Like breaking through the fear wall and killing the comfort zone is the answer to not only stage performance, but the phone call to the company you want to work for, the conversation with the person you're uncomfortable with. I think it spreads across life and music.
Right on. Yeah, there are a couple of good questions coming in, and again, in a few minutes here, we'll open it up. But if you've got anything you want to ask about something we've touched on or surrounding that, feel free to fire that at us at any time. So yeah, I guess we're going back to the boxing analogy, which was a great one. But like Luther said, with performance, with art, there's not a clear win-loss. There's nothing tangible to grab. So here are some clues to know whether you're more likely to be the guy or girl that's swinging for the fences or the one that's getting bloodied up against the ropes here. So yeah, what are some signs that can help you identify, or maybe a clear indicator that there's some work to be done potentially?
Yeah, so particularly if you're looking to scale fast, right? Like nobody wants to spend 3 years rehearsing to get one fan at a time, but that is sort of the reality of it. But if you want to scale faster, you got to be looking at this like a business and look at some of the data you can collect. So non-obligated fans is the first tangible result, really. Like the first fan I ever got in my old band that came up to me, and I was so identified with not having fans that the first fan that came up to me and said, "Hey man, I really like your music." Some girl at the Rancho Relaxo in Toronto, the second Crush Loser show in Toronto, and I went, "Oh, thanks. Who do you know?" Because that's the question you ask. Who do you know that I know? Your Aunt Dorothy's best friend's kid, or what are you? That's what you do. And she just went, "No, I don't know anybody. I just saw you guys. I just picked up your album or saw you online or whatever." And I just went, "Whoa, holy shit. That's totally that totally means that I don't know you, and I was able to move your emotions somehow with my creative output, and you're not even obligated to me. That must mean I'm doing something right. You know what I mean? Because everyone else is obligated. Everybody else. Um, so so look at these factors. If you've played 10 identical shows in a row and you don't have non-obligated fans, it's important to note that if you're in the stage that you're building your art, don't worry about non-obligated fans. If you're at the stage where you're trying to figure out your sound, you don't know it yet. If you're at the stage where you're still growing and you're still discovering, then stay in the creative mode and give that your energy. But if you're at the stage where you really know and you're ready to go, you're ready to push and set sail, uh, and you've been doing it and you still have no non-obligated fans, and you've played 10 identical shows in a row without changing anything, then you're definitely losing, because why would that be working? That's 10 shows in a row where you've changed nothing. You went, nobody new is here. We've played 10 shows over 5 months in our hometown, and there's nobody new here. Let's keep doing the exact same thing. That makes no sense. That's like Walmart going, how are mayonnaise sales doing in the Chatham region? And Johnson goes, I have no idea. I don't know. We're not changing anything. They don't do that because they have to know about the mayo sales so they can make adjustments and continue growing, right? So the other one is you've played um, yeah, 10 new shows and nobody new is showing up. If there's nobody new, then there's a conflict, and you just have to look. Just start there. Just go, okay, there's got to be a conflict. There's nobody new coming out. That means you didn't adjust your show, make it amazing, like really really tweak things, and then ask everybody to bring 5 of their friends. You didn't do anything, so there's nobody new. You did no new marketing to spread the word. Then there's a conflict, and and the danger is that artists live in that world of, hopefully David Geffen trips over my record in the street and then whisks me off to superstardom. But that's not the world we're in. You've seen it change over the last decade, Andrew. Maybe it used to be a little bit more like there was a development phase in the industry, but there certainly isn't now. You prove yourself. So if you're not tweaking these things, you're not proving yourself, and you won't. You just simply won't make it.
Well put. And actually, to borrow from that idea of David Geffen or whoever, the well-dressed A&R rep swooping in with a briefcase full of money, that's not happening now. And the thing is, even when/if it does, it's no longer artists, that someone sees struggling their way through an open mic and, oh, I am going to, I see star power here. You're kind of responsible for getting yourself 75% of the way there. And it's only
Right.
when you've basically, ironically, it's kind of once you've hit your stride and are a well-oiled machine and maybe don't need that help anymore, that's typically when it's going to start coming. So to get to that stage, you really are kind of the master of your own domain. And that's why we're here for this. That's why we're here for all of these webinars, actually. A good time to plug nwcwebinars.com. All of our previous sessions are there free. We're about to open it up for questions here. And then again, after that, we're going to get to the 3 R's, the steps that you can take, the things you can put into action to course correct, to start gaining traction, get things going in the right direction. But before that, I wanted to ask, you referenced a few times about data, and even like with what's in front of us here, playing quote unquote identical shows. Like for that, you kind of have to gauge how many people are here, how many, merch sales is another clear indicator as to whether or not you're making an impression on people. All of this to ask, you can go crazy with data collection and organization and manipulation when it comes to the markets you're playing, how many people are coming, the amount of money you're bringing in, going out. With your experience, especially since you've been coaching like with Canada's Music Incubator and the masterclass here, can you speak a bit to the importance of not just collecting data, but putting it to use in some of the different ways that can help kind of, well, like we're talking about
Yeah.
here, just course correct and be poised to keep growing.
Yeah, I mean, to keep it as simple as possible, because most of the people in the group here are exactly like me, which is a flaky artist. And so they are overwhelmed all the time, like I am on a daily, if not minutely basis. And so more stuff is not helpful, but the best data you can get is getting the guts to play the show, and the 25 people that came to the show to actually approach and build a relationship with, particularly if we're at, and I think most of the people here are probably at the small club circuit level where they're fishing for new fans. It's not like a major fan base coming back and coming back. Mostly we're fishing, like my new band. I'm fishing right now. In my new band. So the best thing you can do is to go interact in the field, on the floor, shovel the coal yourself, play the show, and then meet all of those 25 people. And then the best thing you can do, if you want to keep it really simple and not overwhelm yourself, is just make sure you get those emails, because if you get the emails, then you get to control the interaction rather than you hoping people go to the Instagram page, you yelling from the stage. Follow us. It's twitter.com/, whatever, but there's two slashes, in between the E and the T, because there's another whatever in Scandinavia, whatever that is. Like, don't do that. People are too bored and too busy on Pee Wee Herman's Wikipedia page to ever go back and do anything. So if you can get the email address and you can build the rapport by going down and actually chatting with these people, you build an invested sales team in you, because people feel like they're connected actually to you because you chatted with them. But then also you control the interaction. Just like my newsletter, I control that interaction. So if I want to present something, I've got my hundreds of people or whatever it is to say, hey, I'm thinking this today, and they read it rather than me posting something on social media and hoping they come by. So the simplest thing is the simplest way to put that is get off the stage and chat with everybody, grab the email so you control the interaction. That's the simplest way.
Okay, let's roll here. A few questions, keep them coming. Again, we'll go through a handful here and then jump into the second half, which will be a bit more substantial. We'll be jumping in, as I've said, to the action items. And yeah, before that, so first one. Oh, yeah, someone asks stage psychology. What exactly do you mean by that? And even if it goes outside of our topic for tonight's session, like
Sure.
what are some of the ways that I guess you've earned the title with the services you provide?
Yeah. So performance coaching is often seen as what I like to call the where to jump kick method, where somebody would come in and work with you as a performance coach in here's where you extend your intro, here's where you feature your bass player, here's where you solo longer to engage the audience, and all the choreography stuff. Totally important stuff, no question about it. I just thought 5 years ago when I started this, I just thought that's not the problem with artists. It's not about where to move your hands more or where to make eye contact. I thought in the 1,000 shows I've been on stage, I've been afraid of my audience in some way, and that's what has kept me from taking risks. And so stage psychology is what I work on, because I deal with the mental barriers. I deal with the person who isn't taking risks and isn't able to give that intense energy because they're fearful of themselves, criticizing themselves, unfocused, scattered, fearful on stage. Stage psychology, and what I do is try to give an artist more access to their fearless self on stage.
Hmm. Um, okay, I'm gonna have to paraphrase this a little bit. The question is, if you're in a community or just starting out, getting your feet wet, it's pretty easy to kind of hit that figurative glass ceiling at the beginning. Like if you're in a small town or an area where your live venue is a pub and you're going to be playing, like that pub attracts the same type of crowd, your music attracts the same type of crowd, and there may not be any in that space. Like the question is, are you better off to keep working that small area until, as long as you know that your show is improving, are you better to stay there and then kind of start to branch out when you're ready? Or is there an advantage to maybe covering a wider territory and kind of trying to find your footing in a bit wider of a pool so that you have a bigger, I guess, sample size to kind of identify, like, and it goes to that point of non-obligated fans too, that, you know, in a community or a isolated scene, you do get a lot of that inbreeding. So
Yeah.
yeah, do you know where I'm going with that, or where our friends
Yeah,
going?
yeah, I know what you're going. You know, I toured out west 3 times, no, maybe 5 times in Canada with my first band, and it was useless to do. And it was useless to do because they're 12-hour drives every single drive. There's no gas station between these two places. We broke down twice, and it was worthless. And it was worthless because nobody knew the band, and so we were touring for fun, and I always have that memory. But it was for nothing. Like now, like I said, I'm starting a new band. I'm not going to move past Southern Ontario for a great deal of time because I don't think there's any use to it. I say stay in your market. Uh, don't worry about the market. Make it so you're a badass performer by practicing within that market and rehearsing like crazy and getting great, and use those shows as ways to test new things and push risks and everything like that and get great and play to the fucking internet. That's what the internet's there for. You can reach people in Brazil. Like really learn about how to reach markets online, how to make a great video for no money, which you can totally do, how to make a great live video for no money, which you can totally do, and start to build a community online rather than, we live in Halifax. Let's tour to Montreal when nobody knows us. Unless it's just for totally fun, I totally get that. That's great. You want some tour experience for sure. You want to come back $1,200 in the hole. That's great too. And I really mean that. That's awesome. But I don't think that's the answer. I use the shows in your hometown to get really fucking crazy good at what you do, pro standard, and then play to the internet.
Right on. There's a few other great questions here, although just knowing what we're going to be talking about in a minute here, I think we should roll on, and then after we get to the next Q&A, I think some of this will be covered, and what's not, we'll jump to then. Jackie, great question, and we'll put that in front of Luther momentarily. So, yeah, we're
I
setting...
can't wait, Jackie.
What's that?
I can't wait for Jackie's great question.
Oh, yeah, right on. So what we're doing in the second half, Luther is going to give us some hits to get 5 times better in 5 shows. And how are we doing that? We're about to introduce his 3 R's. I don't know if this has been copyrighted yet or anything, but I think this is Luther Mallory Productions' proprietary content. So rehearsal, ritual, review. We'll start off with the first of those. So walk us through here.
Okay, let's go, because this is truly how to get 5 times better in 5 shows. I've worked with 250 artists probably in the last 5 years, and I have countlessly seen this exact thing take somebody in 3 weeks or in 6 weeks as far as they were going in 3 years. And I can say that about myself too, because I rehearsed so many useless times in my last band, 3 times a week, lots of tweeting, lots of coffees, not a lot of productivity. And I know a lot of people listening right now are going, shit, yeah, that's exactly my rehearsal, because I've done that a lot of times. So rehearsal, let's keep it extremely simple. Rehearsal should be for finding your most intense energy possible, because it's a fearless space. So check this out. You've got an objective in your rehearsal. It's arrangement, or you're working on your banter, you're working on your transitions. You're doing whatever for the 2 hours of your rehearsal. Stuff you got to get done, writing, whatever. Take the last 45 minutes of your rehearsal, put the instruments down, go out into the hallway, do a little NFL huddle, and then go, okay, now we're going to go through the set. We're going to do the set, no stopping, no matter what. So you're not in the second song and you're going, okay, just a second, wait a second. I want to change that F sharp to the whatever. None of that shit. No stopping, no matter what. And then you hit that set at 10 times the show energy. So in other words, you go so hard that you challenge your cardio. You're missing notes all over the place. You're missing pitches all over the place. You go so hard because it's a fearless place that you can take all the risks, that the show becomes easy because the rehearsal is so intense that the show is easier than the rehearsal. And it makes perfect sense. I have so many people say to me, I save my crazy energy for the show. It's like, why would you do that? Definitely have your crazy energy for the show, but why would you save it for the show? If you can find it in rehearsal and then some, then why not do it there? Because you'll discover everything new about your band, what you're capable of, and what you need to work on, and how to up your skills. And so hit it at 10 times the show energy so the show feels easier. And in 5 rehearsals like that, I promise you, you will be like, holy shit, this is crazy. We know so much more about our art right now and our performance and what we need to build and what we need to cut and how we move and how we communicate. It will be insane. Just give it 5 rehearsals like that. I promise you, you'll be emailing me going, that's fucked up. That's really cool.
This is a good time to add, and Luther, I hope you agree here, although it seems implied in what you're saying, but difference between practice and rehearsal, like that whole, oh, I should be changing this to F sharp, or, oh, let's start it again and maybe pick up the pace a bit. Like practice at home is where you're looking to get better technically and make sure that you know your parts. Rehearsal is when everyone's bringing what should be total preparedness on their individual parts together and trying to create something that's, to borrow the cliche, greater than the sum of those individual parts. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I had a point there, but no, that's exactly right, Andrew. And it's critical to go further because of the fearless zone that you're in. That's the thing, right? It's like your rehearsal space is a fearless space, whereas the stage is, I want to try this thing. You're never going to do it. I want to try the backflip tomorrow, or I'm going to try whatever. Never going to do it on stage in front of 20 people or 200 people. Try it at the rehearsal. Try it 60 times in a row. You'll never be criticized for it, and then but don't leave it up to Jesus beaming white light into your chest at the show, and it's supposed to be this inspired, spontaneous thing. It never is. Do it at rehearsal first.
Some more good questions coming in here. And actually, that just reminded me of what happened to my first guitar when I was standing behind the house I lived in university to try the iconic punk rock guitar flip that I didn't realize you need locking tuners for. So RIP Red J. Tercer Stratocaster that flew down the stairwell.
Oh, R.I.P. My condolences.
Yeah, at least I tried it at home and it didn't take someone out in the front row of a show we never played. So,
yeah, exactly. Rehearsal is for breaking your strat. Exactly.
There you go. Okay, so step 2, or
Andrew, sorry, but before you go there, let me just say one thing with the last one.
Yeah.
Okay, this warm up your communication, this first bullet. Let me just give you guys like the quickest ever impactful way to have a great rehearsal. If you spend your last 45 minutes at that 10 times the energy, but spend the first 5 or 10 minutes, play a couple songs or do like a 10-minute free jam or something. And everybody, if you're not a solo artist, you have comrades with you in your band. Everybody face the drummer and do that 10 minutes and don't break eye contact with somebody else. I do this all the time in workshops, and it's weird for 30 seconds for people, and then they start to go, this is amazing. And what it does is it connects you immediately, gets everybody aligned, their energy totally aligned, and then you can go through the rest of your rehearsal completely aligned and none of that shitty feelings or like, is Shelly mad at me today, or is he being an asshole? None of that stuff. It's the way that you warm up your communication. Just face the drummer, keep eye contact for at least 10 minutes.
Okay, and now we can
Okay.
move on to ritual.
Mhm.
And I'm curious, actually, the bullet 20 minutes to momentum. I was like, oh, I wonder what he's going to tell us about that.
Okay. Here's what I'm going to tell you about that. Okay, ritual. If rehearsal is for finding new energy, ritual is for conjuring up that energy. Like if any of you guys have a morning ritual, a coffee, meditation, prayer, exercise, read something, whatever it is, um, that that morning ritual is something that I do to improve my life, to help my day, and that's what it's for. Well, ritual before the show has to happen, because it's how you prepare your energy. It's how you get to note one, song one at full energy rather than getting to song three and going, finally, we're warmed up. Everybody says that. It takes us 3 or 4 songs to warm up. But if we're at the stage where we're fishing for fans and we're trying to reel people in, they only have 10 seconds of energy to give to us to decide if they like it or not. So you have to be fully warmed up at song one, note one. And so the way you do that is ritual. You summon it before the show. I know you guys are playing small clubs, so the green room is like a Chinese fucking restaurant or a van or something, but you have to do it anyway. You have to find a way to do it. So 20 minutes to momentum is this. Every task on earth sucks for the first 20 minutes. You clean the house, it's the worst thing you've ever done. For 20 minutes, you want to die, and then you hit 20 minutes and you go, I'm cleaning the house. Okay, I'm into it. You have to hit momentum with things. You have to give it time to to take hold and start to go, okay, I'm doing this. It's cool. So 20 minutes to momentum. So the ritual has to be 20 minutes long. And the ritual is a warm up. It's a warm up to get you to song one, note one at full energy so you don't lose people. And so you have to warm up more than your voice and your instrument. It's amazing, Andrew. The number one thing that artists say to me about struggles on stage as far as their psychology is movement. I don't know what to do with my body. Okay, did you ever practice what to do with your body? No. Did you ever warm up your body? No. So why would you ever think that you would know what to do with your body? It's like movement and the body on stage is something we just kind of hope happens, and we just sort of ignore and just flail around the stage. And it's totally up to us to get a hold of that, obviously, like any skill. So it's a warm up. You warm up your voice, you warm up your instrument, you warm up your body, you warm up your mind, you get mentally prepared. Stuff that I work with people a lot. You get mentally prepared and you warm up your communication. So you hang with your bandmates for 10, 15, 20 minutes and chat and be cool together and realize that we're all in good moods. We're joking together. And what it does, it forms this bubble on stage rather than going on stage like I'm going to take a piss and then I'll see you on stage, which always happens. And then everyone's in a separate bubble on stage, and the audience sees that. They go like, "Well, where's the camaraderie? Where's the cool band?" But you have to conjure the energy in the ritual. Make sense so far?
Oh yeah, great stuff. And I'm actually just kind of running through my mind some great performances I've seen where, like you say, that first 10 seconds is just so good and engaging. And I'm trying to think of well, just what ritual would have led to that. But yeah, absolutely. I'm picking
There
up
you
what
go.
you're putting down.
Right. And so you're right, because if you see a performance like that, those people didn't do nothing before the show, right? They didn't say, I'm gonna pee, I'll see you on stage. There's no way they did that. Somebody playing Letterman or something, you got one song. Like they're definitely doing something to hit the peak energy. And this will make perfect sense. Like every one of these things is relates to sports. There's no NFL team with a tangible goal, tangible result in mind, right? We need to win. Okay, well then we can't get on stage and have Tom Brady or whatever the football guy's name is like throw 18 shitty passes first. Like now I'm warmed up. It doesn't work that way. So they're out there throwing balls. They're stretching. Their coach is motivating them. If you ever YouTube one of those things like a YouTube search coaches motivating teams before games, you're like, holy shit, they're so intense. It's hilarious. And they're doing that because there is no complacency, because they know we have to do this thing. The ball has to go into the end zone for us to get points. and we win. But us artists, we go, I don't know, let's play the show, and then I don't know. It's like, it's such bullshit. We have to treat it like there's a standard of energy. So the way, okay, so if that's enough of a tangent, the way to build your ritual is this. So you have to design it. It doesn't happen by itself. Everybody watching, I challenge you to just think of your morning ritual, if you have anything, and just think of the one thing you do in the morning. It's a coffee. Most people do the coffee as a default ritual. What does that do for you? You know, it improves your life. It wakes you up. You like it, and then you can go about your day a tiny bit more. But you scale that idea, and you go, okay, what if I did 4 things instead of one thing that helped my life? Would I feel better in the morning? Of course you would. That's how that works. So before the show, what you do is you take your 20 minutes or your 30 minutes, your 40 minutes, whatever you want to do, 20 minutes minimum to hit momentum, and you design your ritual. It takes you 5 shows. 5 shows to get 5 times better. It takes you 5 rituals where you go, I got half an hour. I'm going to try half an hour worth of shit that might help me. So I'm going to have a coffee or a beer. I'm going to stretch. I'm going to meditate, and I'm going to pray, and then I'm going to like play through 4 songs on a couch with the rest of my band, and just try that. That's perfect. Then you play the show, and you look back and go, okay, that thing and that thing and that thing were really awesome. That thing and that thing were not so great. So you replace the not so great stuff with other stuff that might help. And you just simply trial and error that until you have a perfect ritual designed. And it's that simple. You just go, what might help? And you talk to your bandmates too, and you go, you need more solo time. You need more time together. What's going to get you there? And the only measuring stick you need is at song 1, note 1. Do we feel at 100% energy? That's what you're after, and you do trial and error, ritual design to get there. Just replace stuff with other stuff until you got it.
Right on. Can we move on to our number 3?
Absolutely. And then last thing, yes, definitely. But ritual, practice your ritual in the morning. That's design a morning one, because you get every day to try it. You know, don't just design the show one, because the morning ritual is the same. Just so practice it in the morning. Design one in 5 mornings. Go ahead, Andrew.
I'm going to heed that advice, actually. That's great. I like when I'm learning too. Review. This one's a bit more straightforward, but I'm sure there's some things we can unearth here. But yeah, review. The recording, I guess, is a bit straightforward. Tell us about some of the other things that go with that, though, and more importantly, and I'm sure you're going to get there. But reviewing is one thing. How do you take what you're seeing and course correct?
Yeah, and tweak it. Right. Okay. So review is as simple as it says. There's almost nothing to say about it except that I know you're not doing it. A couple people there going, "Fuck you." Yeah, I am. Yeah, but it's a couple people. Mostly you're not doing it, and that's because it's horrifying. But it's also because of that. I'm sure you guys are getting the theme. It's that complacency thing. It's should we do that? Of course you should. If you were 10 weeks out from your UFC fight, and you weren't reviewing the tapes of your old fights, and you weren't reviewing the tapes of your opponent's fights, anybody would go, what the hell are you doing? Get in there. This is how you learn. Any business would do this. It's called getting data on what you look like. So you know how you write a song in your head, then you voice note that song. You record it into your phone. And you do that so you can listen back to that voice note as a listener, not in your own fucked up, criticizing, judgmental, insane head while you're listening to it going like, well, is it going to win me a Grammy? I don't know. And you go through all this shit that's filtering the thing. Instead, you just get to see it or hear it, right? So review is that. You tape your show, not for social media, not for quality, not for anything. Just throw the iPhone on the side of the stage or at the back of the stage, or get your friend to do it, and then have the guts to watch it back and feel free to be mortified. Feel absolutely free to be absolutely mortified at what you see, but dedicate to 5 shows of review. Watch it back as a team, or if you're solo, then watch it back and discuss together, be accountable to each other, be cool about feedback, say that looks bad, that looks good, and you will learn so much about what is actually going on, uh, that you can tweak from the audience perspective, and you can see the audience. That's what they reacted like. I'm not guessing anymore. That's what it goes like. But you need to do this because you will improve 1,000-fold instantly if you just start seeing it as the audience sees it out of your own head. And I know that's clicking with everybody, and I know that it's making everybody who doesn't do it go, "Fuck! Why are we not doing that?" And I thought the same thing after 1,000 shows with Crush Luther. Why didn't we do that? It's insane not to do that. It seems so obvious.
Do you know, or is there value, like when I hear record your shows, I'm thinking like put a camera in the crowd to see what we look like. Have you ever or heard of anyone that's put a camera only looking at the audience and trying to approach it from that perspective?
That's a good call, Andrew. That's a really good call. And I've never thought of that exact thing, which is fantastic, and I will definitely do that. But I used to teach this thing called the data guy. It was a replacement for the merch guy. The data guy being more important than the merch guy. I don't know if it's true or not. It was 4 years ago when I was developing this stuff, but I just thought get a data guy, a friend you trust, to come and watch your show and really take notes about what the audience thinks. Like really actually pay attention to what the audience is thinking and clapping for and paying attention to, and so you can actually know. But even better than the data guy is probably, yeah, chuck a camera up and see the audience. Nice call. I'll give you points on that one.
Oh, nice. I was thinking, yeah, like, because like you're doing a guitar solo, and you know, if it's a decently crowded room, like anyone you're making eye contact with is kind of obliged to return it and hey, this is really cool, and give you that sign. I'd be more curious as to what the person like five people to the left was
Right.
intoning. So, no, there you go. Maybe that is a nice,
Good call.
a lot of
Good
go
call. You know what that reminds me of? It
go.
reminds me of if you watch, you know, like you watch like some episode of Friends or something, or some episode of Seinfeld or something, where they do an out of the studio shot at a baseball game or something. My
Yeah,
favorite thing to do ever is to watch the extras, but behind the main characters,
yeah.
like the poor people who have been cast to sit beside Jerry Seinfeld and try to react to a fake baseball game. It's the funniest shit ever. They have no idea what to do, but it's like that. It's like what you're saying. It's like peripherally watching those other people is so interesting.
This weird. I do that exact same thing. Jaded media
Yeah,
consumer. Uh,
yeah, exactly. Oh, let me finish because what you said before, Andrew. Okay, so review. Let me say something really obvious about how to tweak once you see it. And I hope this doesn't sound condescending. I say it to everybody, but like we're all creative people here. We're so our job is creativity. That's our skill set. That's our passion. That's the job. The part of performance coaching that is how do we create moments? How do we extend the intro? How do we make the song so it's so there's more stuff we do in it that's intriguing to the audience? I do a lot of that. Okay, but I always kind of preface it by saying to artists, that's the whole job. That should be the easy part for you. The easy part should be seeing it and getting creative about how we make this more unique. Like, what can we do? That's the fun part. You know, like should we take this bridge down to tiny small for 2 minutes so we get people like in a crazy like low mood there and then blast off, or should we, you know, all stand on the amps here? Should we all lay on our faces? Whatever it is, that should almost be the easy part of going. What would be cooler? What would be more interesting? What would be more engaging? And challenge that. Just make sure you do it. Just make sure you challenge it.
Now's probably a good time as something of a challenge to the audience. There's a video, Dillinger Escape Plan. You might not be able to handle the music because it's pretty intense, kind of
Oh,
jazzy
I can handle the music.
core.
I dig Dillinger Escape Plan.
Okay, because there's a video online. I think you have to search like Dillinger Escape Plan Virgin Megastore, but they were playing a show back when there was such a thing as a Virgin Megastore. And it's hilarious because it embodies what you're talking about here. Like the singer, they're all on stage before the show starts. The lights, of course, they're like in an atrium, so it's not your typical like metal club where it's dark and you can play to a cool light show. So the band's kind of seemingly just tuning up their instruments. The singer's walking around with the hoodie with the hood over his head, and it's like the
Yeah.
most boring footage you've ever seen. And then out of nowhere, like it's just the snap of a finger, these lights start strobing, and they're not even doing much because it's so bright in there. All of a sudden, everyone on stage, as though they're coming out of like a flash mob or something, is just going crazy. And the singer runs off of the stage and continues running
He walked.
on top of
Yeah.
people's heads. So probably not rad for about 4 or 5 people there, just screaming his ass off. And it was, to this day, one of the coolest, most punk rock things I've ever seen. And I'm like, if you were in that crowd, you're leaving, telling your friends about it. Encourage you to check it
Absolutely.
out, even if you can't handle someone screaming
I've
into your ears.
I've seen that. I've seen that very footage because I'm a Dillinger fan, and there you go. And like to your point, Andrew, how simple is that choice? Let's do nothing and almost like bluff everybody, and then let's go to 100 in 1 second, and everybody will fucking die. And it's that simple. It was just a creative choice. They probably sat down and smoked some pot, and then went, "What should we do?" And they decided that in 1 second, and they went, "Yeah, let's do that." Uh, and it's that simple because everybody here is creative. All you do is dig into the show and go, "What would be crazy? Let's be creative."
Uh, Shouts out to Jeremy, who just co-signed that clip. And if I can
Yes.
segue then, just because Jeremy has a great question from earlier. Jackie, John, coming at you too. There's a few here. Jeremy's wondering, I guess even on that note, like how much of your performance do you want to be quote unquote planned? Like choreographed is kind of a taboo word, but basically he's asking like how much of your performance should be planned and how much spontaneous, like whether you're talking banter, moves, etc.
Okay.
Can you speak
Yeah.
to that balance?
Yeah. Let's do this. Is Jeremy?
Yeah.
Was Jeremy the man on that one? Okay, Jeremy, good question and such a serious topic because it's something I call. Yeah, I'll do this quick. Something I call the delusion of spontaneity. Okay, and that is what artists suffer from on stage. The delusion of spontaneity. They think I'm going to prepare nothing because Jesus is supposed to beam white light from the universe into my chest when I'm on stage, and it's going to take me into some inspired moment, and then I'm going to do that. Does that ever happen? No, it never fucking happens. That doesn't happen. It's so rare that you hit an inspired moment like that on stage because you're doing too much stuff. But people are still, that's the compulsion. We need spontaneity. We need spontaneity. But it doesn't work that way. But here's how spontaneity can work within a structure. Okay. So let's say that spontaneity is the end goal. That is what you want, spontaneity. Because of course it is. You want to be in the moment. You want to be self-expressive, spontaneous. You want to be spontaneous, but you can't start with spontaneity. Just like as a songwriter, you can't start with inspiration. You have to start with craft because the inspiration has to speak a language. So you can't start with spontaneity. What you start with is structure. So think of it this simply, Jeremy. Like you 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 plan this. Okay, so you go for the first verse. I am going to hold on to the mic with both hands on the stand, and I'm not going to move. And I'm just going to sing the shit out of this thing, okay? And that's going to be the first verse. So your brain goes, great, that's what we're going to do. Choice has been made. And then you get to be spontaneous within that structure because you've already made the decision. If you don't make the decision, all that happens for that 40 seconds of that verse is your brain searches. It's on a fucking endless quest for spontaneity. It's going, what do we do next? What do I do next? Everybody watching right now knows that question in your head on stage. What now? What can I do that's more? What's next? What's next? You only silence that voice by choosing first. So you basically bullet point the choice and you go, I've made this choice for this whole chorus. I'm going to do this structure of a thing. And then while you're in that chorus, be spontaneous in that choice. But you see what I mean? Like if you don't make the choice, the brain is compulsive about making choice after choice after choice which takes you fully out of the moment because you're busy deciding all the time. Does that make sense, sort of?
To me, yeah.
Yeah.
Jeremy,
See if that makes sense to Jeremy.
yeah, well, I'll wait for him. Jerry, let us know what you think. Roxanne wanted to weigh in on that comment. She says, in the 70s and 80s, this was just how we rolled. Years of no green rooms, little respect from club owners, and cynicism have rolled that back, and many localized Toronto performers will never have the opportunity to rise to that level of energy. Well, then we're helping you rise to that level of energy. Although I understand what you're saying, that circumstance can play a big part in this. Jeremy says yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
Well, sir.
Well, I don't understand. What's Roxanne saying there? I didn't totally understand what you meant there.
I think just the idea was that like back in the day, it was a lot easier to come out and absolutely just slay a crowd, but that now in today's paradigm, and actually, I just got rid of the comment. So, Roxanne, if I'm doing you no justice here, let us know. But basically, just that very oversaturated and has maybe forced people into complacency.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I do get that. I don't know if I agree with that. If Roxanne wants to elaborate on that, I'd be interested. And if you'll give them my email or my website or something. So Roxanne, if you want to discuss that over email, I'd be into that. Let's continue though.
Oh, right on. Yeah, LutherMalloryProductions.com. And that's got the coordinates, but might as well send you there first just so you can take in a bit of the extras, get a good idea of what Luther's all about, and rock from there. Jackie, question from earlier. Thank you. Jackie says, coming back after an accident, my confidence is lower than it used to be when I was performing all the time. Any ideas on how to bolster that? She's a classical singer, but also trying to branch out into classic rock, jazz, and blues. I guess the question is, having suffered a bit of a takedown, how do you get back to a place where you know that you were doing this better?
I mean, I'd be interested with Jackie to know what the situation was, because I'm curious about what accident would strip you of your stage confidence. It's hard to say without knowing that, because I don't think there's a lot of the stuff that I do with people. There's a lot of sort of blanket answers, but that's sort of the exact specific stuff. Like if I get that, like last week coaching workshops at CMI, then I'm immediately digging into what was the accident, what is the exact confidence, how did the accident manifest itself and is now ruining your confidence. But without knowing that, I don't know that there's a blanket thing.
Yeah, Jackie, you can fire some more comments at us here. Slip and fall.
Yeah, Jackie too.
I see.
Yeah.
She's an opera singer, like a classical singer, and so I'm assuming here, Jackie, correct me if I'm wrong, that it's more a matter of like slip and fall, any physical injury for that type of vocal performance that's so physically taxing, whether it's pain or maybe just the mental fear that she's not 100%. I think that's where she's coming from.
Okay, so if it's a case of being afraid that you're not 100%, I wonder if that's what it is. I really would like to know what that situation is, because.
Okay, yeah, maybe Jackie, I'd encourage you too. Luther's been very open and receptive about wanting to engage with people after the session. But yeah, she's saying like it's hard to get hired in that scene with any type of physical injury. So maybe that's, you know what, I might be able to put you in touch with someone too that does like kind of, it's essentially like athletic coaching for musicians, but basically to get musicians' bodies tuned up to optimally perform. But let's put that one in the.
If Jackie's interested, email me too, because I'm curious about how much of that has to do with now your technical ability, and how much that has to do with belief. And so if Jackie, hit me up and email me some stuff about that if you like, because I'd like to chat about that.
All right. Yeah. So to Roxanne's point earlier, like she's just saying that there's really not many bands that come to the scene that are pulling it out the way that you're talking about pulling it out.
No.
She plugs here, and I'll list them because I like them. James Blonde and July Talk is two bands that just absolutely slay
Yeah.
in terms of energy and engagement. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's just that a lot of these. You know, with the oversaturated scene, like a lot of artists are basically just kind of learning by example, and if there's no one out there really bringing it, and
Yeah.
it just
Amen. Yeah.
breeds complacency, I guess.
Yeah. Amen, Roxanne. Absolutely. And that's only a challenge and an opportunity, right? Because you can crush 90% of the acts out there by simply being the one who decides to bring every ounce of energy.
Mm. I appreciate everyone. We're bleeding a bit past the hour here, so big thanks to Luther and thanks to everyone else for hanging around. Actually, and most people have. Just with time here, I've got 4 questions in the queue, and I
Yeah.
we'll cap it at that. So if anyone else has something that they want to say, yeah, LutherMalloryProductions.com, CanadianMusician.com, we're easy to find. So here, let's roll through these. John's been waiting for a while. John started his music career late, 46, sings and plays guitar, has been taking lessons for a few years now, vocal lessons in September. He says, yeah, I've been told I'm good, but I can't get past the shyness of performing when someone hands me a guitar. How can I overcome that fear? And I'm going to quote him, own that shit.
Okay, so John is no doubt suffering from so he's a bit new to it, right? Did you say that? A little bit
Yeah.
new to right. Okay, so there's that. So there's a bit of a lack of confidence there because the skill isn't crazy mastered. That's understandable. And then he's probably dealing with a bit of an age thing too, just like I am, just like actually everybody is. I worked with an 18-year-old a while ago. It was like, I think it's too late for me. I'm like, holy shit. Okay. So everybody's kind of dealing with that. But um, the the rule is that energy rule is totally in your favor, John, because uh, what you do is you add to your ritual or something like that, a way to build your belief, a way to convince yourself daily that success in this is absolutely uh, um, reliant on how much belief you can bring to this. And that's a choice. That's what's freaky and cool is you can choose to believe. You can choose to just go, okay, I don't get to do this for my life, or I don't get to live this dream, or I don't have to get to touch people in the way that I want if I don't uh, shake this off or get past that. You'd be surprised at how much awareness of that does. Just simply going, all right, I'm going to play, fuck the nerves and all of that. I'm going to be nervous, be vulnerable, be afraid. Don't bury this stuff. And I'm going to do it anyway, and I'm going to do it full on, and just conjure it up by reminding yourself success in this relies on me being fearless right now. Be surprised at how much that can do for you.
Hmm. Oh, right on. Sorry, going back here. Lori, thank you for coming back. Lori's wondering, and actually, this is a good question too. Talking about scalability, I think, but do you adjust the show depending on the venue, on the audience, or is the show always the show?
Yeah. Okay. So, okay. Let me hit a certain angle of that, Lori, and that is, if it's a small club, what you got two choices: energy or song. Okay, let's go with that. Energy or song. Anywhere you've got energy or song. Okay, so it basically meaning if you're not at the level where you can get immaculate sound and have immaculate energy, which most of us aren't at, like you're playing arenas or you're playing like the Mod Club or something, 800 seaters, 1,000 seaters. If you're playing a smaller club than that, then you have to choose energy over song because um, nobody's going to hear your lyrics because the sound is shit. Nobody's going to like get the tone. Nobody's going to going to really, really get the song in that way. You know that from just being a fan and being a chill. It's going like, I don't know what that song was doing. Like the sound is crappy, and the everybody's drinking and having fun around me. So at the small club level, definitely choose energy, which means definitely still play well, and everything like that. But don't commit so hard to playing technically well that you're shoegazing, making sure you get everything right. Let go of some of that for the sake of having crazy energy and going really crazy, um, because it's going to translate better because energy wins at the show. Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me. Lori, let us know. Yes, Lori, quick with the text here. And John also appreciates the advice. Okay, so two more. Gata, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Gata. Just wanted to know if we could speak for a moment. Actually, this is kind of nice how everything's kind of leading into the next thing. But yeah, to that point before, it was like, um, about if you're playing a small club, like it made me think, for the hard rock band that has that one ballad, it might kind of seem disheartening then that, when they try to bring it down and get people's attention, then they might not be able to. Anyway, to that point, I just wanted to know if you could speak for a moment on connecting emotionally to the content of your performance and, yeah, to what you were
Yeah,
saying before, Luther, like sometimes that's probably more conducive to certain venues or certain types of shows than others.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Because if the rock band plays the ballad, still just commit to energy. Like if you're intense about it and people can't hear the song, they'll still get it. Because it really is about energy. So the question for Gada is speak to emotionally connecting. Just let me give you two things, as mostly talking to vocalists here, but it'll relate anyway. Okay, so two ways to get emotionally connected that are simple, 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 simple. Okay, first of all, uh, after 50 times playing your song, it becomes just a song. That's what happens. Everybody agrees with that. That's what happens. It becomes melody and rhythm wrapped around each other to make a song, and you can sleep through the fucking thing every time on stage. You can play it for the 400th time and just go, I didn't even pay attention to that. It's like driving on the highway. Sometimes you're like, where did I go right there? Happens all the time. So what you got to do is, first of all, uh, identify the emotional center of that song. If you want to emotionally connect, you have to identify with the emotional center. You have to go, all right, do the lyric work, the text work, and go, what is this about? Okay, what is this really about? Remind yourself. What's this about? It's about rebellion. It's about hope. It's about loss. So you go, okay, it's about rebellion. This song is my rebellion song. Remind yourself of that so you remember your point. You remember your opinion about that. You remember what it's about. Do a little trick here is put that word, that emotional center, that one word on your set list beside the song. So you can not only remember what song you're playing next, but you can remind yourself of that emotional center. So you go, oh yeah, shit, that's why this song is important, and that's why it exists. Okay, combine that with the simple task of singers and rappers stop focusing on singing, okay, and stop focusing on flow, because those are arbitrary uh, style elements. Those are arbitrary style elements that are simply styling the content. Okay, so if you think about your main focus as a singer is your voice. Okay, that's your main focus when you're singing on stage, and that's because you have to measure it. Pitch, vibrato, bada boo, bada bee, all that stuff. You got to do that. Okay, but now you're just focusing on the styling of the message. Okay, so you go, and you switch to those things, and all of a sudden you go, let me focus on the words. Listen to every word as it comes out of your face. And what happens when you do that and you make that deliberate switch is you reconnect emotionally with your song, because rather than now listening to the styling, you're listening to the message. You're listening to your own words. You're reminding yourself of what it's about. You're going, oh yeah, I wrote that. Wow, that's crazy. And if you have reminded yourself of what the emotional center is, listening to the words instead of the voice then drives the emotional center. You're constantly reminding yourself while you sing. If you can stay in that focus, of the message of the song. So listen to the words, and the counterintuitive thing is it actually frees up your voice as well because you're not focused on choking your voice to death. Control it. Make sure I get it. Make sure I get everything. When you do that, you just choke your voice to death by trying to control it. Listen to the words; it unburdens the voice. Connect with the emotional center.
Wow. So, Luth, we're at the end.
Is that it?
That's it.
Well,
Yeah,
my
and
voice is
actually,
toast. I'm so
after I called those last four questions, people were respectful and didn't throw any else at us. So again, Luther Mallory Productions. If you've got anything you want to put in front of him, which he's very receptive to, which is great, go there, hit him up, and same with us, CanadianMusician.com. For both of our cases, sign up for the newsletter. In Luther's case, especially, it's a terrific read every time. And if you enjoyed what you heard here, there's plenty more of that he'll send you on a regular basis. Totally free, great content. And yeah, same with us. If you want to hear more about upcoming webinars, things we're working on, industry updates, Canadian Musicians newsletter, CanadianMusician.com. Really quickly in front of you here, if you go to musicbooksplus.com/webinar, we've got a few books we've flagged. Again, they're kind of dance around the topic here, but just things that can bolster your library and some good reading to just kind of continue down this path. And like I said at the beginning, we appreciate you joining us. An email will come at you in about 24 hours with the link to the recording, so you can revisit this if you'd like. Of course, if you can think of someone that would benefit from hearing what we've been talking about, please send them that way. They can check out the recording and, more importantly, sign up for future sessions. They're totally free. We love the feedback. Please fill out the survey. It just helps us make these better. Did I forget anything? Oh yeah, and LutherMalloryProductions.com, the newsletter, and again, individual consultancies. If there's something you're interested in learning, kind of knowing now where Luther's coming from and his experience. Yeah, there's a big opportunity there. And Roxanne, since you were nailing it earlier, 2 things from a lifelong vocalist: get inside every song and sing it like it matters. And never turn your back on an audience unless your back looks as good as your front, or in my case, if your front doesn't look as good as your back. So, there you go. Wrapped it up here. Appreciate everyone joining us. Give us your feedback. Luther, more than a pleasure, eh?
Oh yeah, thanks, and thanks to everybody for paying attention. And like Andrew said, I am more than available to chat. If you come through the website, particularly, there's a bar right on the website that says join Luther's blog or Luther's blog or something. Get on that and then chat with me through the newsletter, because I have constant discussion about all things performance through that newsletter. Plus, it's like a quick read in the morning, 2 minutes or something, a couple times a week or even less, and then issue challenges. Like the last one I did was a 10-day Insta challenge to take an Instagram video for 10 days straight, just to get you out of criticizing your brand, and is it going to suit my brand, is it the right thing, just to do it. So I'm always just pushing people into stuff. So the newsletters is where it's at. We would love to chat more with everybody. You are my people. I am an artist. I will be bothering you with my new music soon enough.
All right, and actually, well, knowing some of it, we're still talking Bow and the Blade, right?
That's right, the Bow and the Blade. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, there's some great stuff out there already that, from a totally objective source, wink, wink,
Yeah.
definitely worth checking out. Okay.